Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey! Woo! Last day of May.
It is.
Last day of May. June
That's
is
right.
here.
Yes.
Wow. We got to talk about this poll. I know we're only going to spend a minute on it.
Jay, I started this yesterday, and I should have known better. It's a bad job
I agree
out of
with
me.
you.
Yeah,
but I can understand. I can understand how maybe you thought, well,
Yeah.
maybe there will be some common sense
Right.
applied. Tell everybody what you did.
So yesterday on the show, man, I'm looking sloppy. I was supposed to get a haircut yesterday, and I was going to have a beard shave.
It's all right.
And
it's Friday,
and I
man.
had to cancel till today. So anyway, I apologize. But so we were talking. I don't even know how the comparison came. Oh, I know how it came up. Mike brought up an article from The Ringer, or was it not an article, but a podcast, in which they talked about the players with the most pressure.
Right.
And so, we talked about Deshaun, we talked about Aaron Rodgers, and we talked about Dak Prescott.
Fair.
And then,
all of those guys
right.
happen.
And so we came to so I think I just, from that, said, we'd all rather have Dak Prescott than Deshaun Watson right now, right? And Earl disagreed. And I said, Mike, we got to put out a poll. And I insanely said, of course everybody's going to pick Dak Prescott because he's been a million times better the last 3 years. Yeah. Earl's argument was, at his best, Deshaun Watson's absolute best was better than Dak, which I agreed with.
The problem with that argument is it was 4 years ago.
Right. And I feel like even at his best, I don't think Deshaun is that much better than Dak. And that's not because Deshaun's not that good. I think Dak's a little underrated, personally.
Underrated?
I think he's a little underrated.
No kidding.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because Dak Prescott is like the measuring rod, right? He's the demarcation of if you're really good or you just.
It's him and Kirk Cousins.
Right. Yeah, so,
he and Cousins.
So if you
Tua was getting close to that.
Yeah, it's the demarcation of.
I would put Tua behind both of them for me personally.
I would too, but I think they're all poster childs for what you're saying.
Yes.
Are you really elite? If you're really elite, they're like, oh yeah, you better than Dak. But if you ain't had no playoff victories, if you ain't really done nothing, you haven't got past the first round, or you put up some decent numbers, then you are in the Dak Prescott area, which is the reason why, sometimes it looks like they don't even want to give him a long-term deal, right? Tua,
sure.
Are they going to give Tua money?
I don't know.
I don't know. So I can see why people say that.
And what's funny is, so I said, and Mike gave us the results after like 2 minutes. Only like 50 people had voted.
Yeah, those flash polls
right?
don't count.
But what was
we
funny
have a lot
is
of results now.
We got the
Right,
final
now-
results, and they haven't changed from the first 50, essentially. The percentages stayed the same.
It's about 68%.
So we have, and we put this on our community tab.
Yeah.
And it's been up for 21 hours now. We have just shy of 2,800 votes. So it's a big sample size.
Yeah,
and it is at 68,
relatively speaking.
Yeah.
68% for Deshaun, 32% for Dak Prescott. We are just shy of 2.8 thousand votes.
Obviously, I'm not breaking any news here. If you were to put this poll to a national audience,
Yes.
the results would be more than flip.
Oh, a lot more.
Like, I would guess 80% would say, give me Dak Prescott.
At least 80%. And here's the way I put it yesterday, or it might have been Jason or somebody that said it first before me, but think about it this way. Let's say in crazy world that instead of being traded to the Browns, Deshaun Watson had been traded to the Falcons, because that was the other team that was in the mix.
They were interested.
And let's say for the last 2 years, Deshaun Watson had not been on the Browns, he'd been on the Falcons, and everything that he did on and off the field
happened in Atlanta
happened
instead of
exactly in
Cleveland.
Atlanta. No difference.
And then ask Cleveland fans, you want Dak or you want Deshaun?
It would have been
Right.
99-1.
I can't imagine that anybody would have said over the last 2 years of body of work that they would say, give me Deshaun over Dak.
That's right. But I get it. And by the way, it's not just Cleveland. Other fan bases would have done the same thing. It's
That's
their
right.
guy. I
now,
get it.
What's interesting about this,
Yeah.
in the market where Dak plays, it might be surprisingly different from the national audience.
Yes.
There are people in Dallas that are absolutely done with Dak Prescott. Done.
Yeah.
Now, all of that being said, you can only compare what we've seen on the field the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Deshaun, there was one year where he didn't play.
Right.
Then there were 2 years where he played 6 and 5 games.
Right.
Not enough to make a definitive decision, but that's the information we have.
Right, that's all we have right now.
And like you, I'm not surprised because this is why our hurt in Cleveland runs so deep when we do lose.
Yes.
Because the expectations are unrealistic.
At times,
it's unrealistic expectations. And what I've learned in my lifetime as my fandom is I lower expectations. So my fall isn't from the 30th floor, it's from the 5th floor.
And what's funny about that to me, about you, Jay, is of all the people I know in my life, you are one of the most optimistic, positive people I've ever met.
I try to be.
And so the fact that you go the opposite
You're right.
when it comes to your sports teams, especially your football team, is quite weird.
It is, you're right. And I've thought that about myself, too. Because now, for my first 40 years, I was silver lining.
Okay.
I was give me Deshaun over Dak.
Yes.
But with age comes wisdom. And with wisdom comes clarity. And the fact of the matter is, like, a lot of people think that I'm a hater. I'm not.
No,
trust
not at all.
me.
Not
I
at all.
am not a hater. I know haters.
No.
I've worked with haters. I can write
Famous
Webster's dictionary definition of hater.
Yeah.
I am not a hater. What I am is a realist who borders on pessimism as a fan.
Yes.
But only in that compartment in my life. Everything else, Bull, my glass is full.
And I think for you, it's especially, it seems to me, the Browns even more than the other two
It
teams.
is, because that's the team I most want to see win.
How many games during the season, I always wonder this, like, we all have a spectrum of excitement meter, right? The Kool-Aid meter goes up. If he plays well for 2.5 games, you already know what I'm saying, right?
Oh, yeah.
If he plays good.
Fit him for the gold jacket.
Yeah, we can get him ready, right? If he plays good for 5 games, I think Bull will be like, I mean, this is a decent sample size.
I need to see a half a season.
I think you are a 6 to 8 to 9
Jay's
guy.
going to need the most.
I think you're right.
You were the least enthusiastic about the Browns getting him in the first place.
I was.
You know,
For all
I
the
was
reasons.
100% all in on Deshaun Watson.
You were.
And I still believe he could turn it around. But obviously, I'm not as convinced as I was when they first got him.
No,
How
mean,
could you be?
You'd be fooling yourself.
Yeah.
If anybody out there in our audience is as excited about the trade today as they were the day it happened, you're kidding yourself.
No,
Now, there are reasons for optimism.
Sure.
The second half against Baltimore, maybe he figured it out again. Now, the sad thing is, he's going to go about 11 months between snaps that count.
That's right.
So he's going to have to figure it out again, which is really unfortunate for him. But if he did it once, he can do it again.
Right.
And there's reason for hope. It's not all doom and gloom.
No, certainly not. The team's good. They're really talented.
The team around him is loaded.
Exactly. I mean, this may be I think last year we said this might be the Browns' most talented roster in decades. Well, now again this year, this may be the Browns' most talented roster in decades.
Before we do our first read, huge game on the docket tonight that you probably didn't see on the schedule. You probably didn't see any odds on it. At least I hope you didn't. Bull, what's going on tonight? This is massive.
This is a big game tonight, folks. Tonight will mark the halfway point of the season after our game tonight.
Okay.
The first ever Friday night doubleheader at Rocky River Little League.
Ever.
I don't know about ever, but at least in the years that I've been there.
Okay.
Because of Memorial Day, we pushed games back this week, and I don't know why we didn't do Friday last year. I don't know how we worked it out, but
that's
anyway,
not like a good thing to have.
And we're excited about it. So we play the late game tonight at 7:15.
Under the
You got lights?
No lights.
Oh, man.
Shout out to the old school. We used to have the lights
last
that
inning. It usually gets a little dicey this early in the season for the last inning. But our team's playing great. We won 3 in a row and 4 of 5.
Wow.
The only games we've lost, we blew big leads when I went to the bullpen in the last inning. So
bad managerial.
Hey, listen, I gotta find a third and fourth. I gotta find a couple extra pitchers.
You're going to need them in the playoffs.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
My 2 starters are phenomenal. My top starter, who's pitching tonight, Luco Bricky, has an ERA.
Wait a minute. What a name.
What a great name.
That kid's going to the big leagues.
He's going to be he's in the
Luco
All-Star
Brick.
game. He's actually a big hockey player. He loves hockey.
That's a creative name.
But he has an ERA under 4 in Little League.
Ooh, that's impressive.
And the only reason it's like 3.90, His first appearance, I brought him out of the pen. He gave up like 3 runs. Since then, I think he's given up 2 runs in his 3 starts.
Now, the team you play tonight?
We're playing Taza Grill.
The word on the street is Taza's
good.
First place team.
Well,
I hear they pay. Bull,
yeah.
Can you confirm or deny the rumors that Taza is paying players?
NIL is
their head coach is Travis Stadler. He's a good dude. I'm not going to say, but I have heard those rumors about pay for play.
Thank you.
Hey, NIL is legal now, bro.
I'm told that he rested his best starter in their game earlier in the week to save him for us. Their top starter is really good. A kid, I think his name is Archie. He's a really good pitcher, so it should be a great pitching matchup
tonight. Low-scoring game, maybe?
I think so. We've outscored on our 3-game winning streak. We've outscored our opponents 26-10.
Oh, wow. I'm going to make a prediction tonight, okay?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Normally, you say the team that throws and catches wins in Little League.
Yeah.
That's almost always true. I'm going to make a prediction on tonight's game.
Yeah.
The team that runs the bases the best will win tonight.
I like it.
Low-scoring pitchers duels. Yep. You get a guy on first, you got to get him over, you got to get him in.
That's right.
And we'll see how it plays out.
Probably the 2 best catchers in the league in this game.
All right.
Their coach's son is a big kid. He pitches, but he's also a really good catcher. And my catcher, never misses the ball.
That's the key in Little League. You got a good catcher, you got a chance.
It's unreal. Never misses the ball.
And on that vein, Mike, you'll be interested in this. Tomorrow is the rematch of the Greater Cleveland Championship Adult Baseball. We play Steve Sports on Saturday. They're 2-0. We're 2-0.
Big rivals.
Have you pitched yet? No.
I pitched 3 innings
Oh, you did?
in week 1. I pitched 4 innings last Saturday. I'm on a pitch count. This is new to me. I've never been on a pitch count.
Did you make this or your
doctor
manager?
did. No, the doctor
the doctor, okay.
35 to 50 for my first 2 starts.
All right.
I went exactly 35 the first start in 3 full innings. I told myself I'm going to push the higher end of the pitch count in my second, and I want 4 full innings. I threw 47 pitches.
Yeah.
4 complete, 5 Ks.
Nice.
Which is, you'd think would be a high pitch count with 5 Ks. I only had a 2-ball count once. Out of the 47 pitches, 39 strikes, 7 balls.
Was it
2 hits,
just
no
the
runs.
accuracy, or were they also ultra aggressive, the other team?
No, what I'm doing, because I want to be efficient, I want to go deeper.
Right.
Because I'm on a count. I'm not messing around with the edges. I'm throwing strikes. I'm pitching to contact.
Yeah.
And I've got a great
go.
defense behind me. But the crazy thing is, I'm getting swings and misses, and I'm throwing to contact. So, but tomorrow's the test.
No pain, I assume.
No, that's not true. Tuesday I had some very on a discomfort scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 6 in my elbow, but it's gone now.
All right, good.
I talked to my doctor. I talked to my physical therapist. They said if it's pain-free Saturday, pitch until you're pain-free.
All right.
If it starts to hurt, stop.
All right, let's dive into some real topics today, guys. A quick reminder that FanDuel is the official sponsor of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Today's winning ticket comes to us from Let's Go Guards, who used a $5 bonus bet on a 4-part same-game parlay from the Guardians' win over the Rockies earlier this week. He turned $5 into $35, a 7-1 profit. So shout out to Let's Go Guards for sending in that winning ticket. If you have a winning ticket, as always, make sure you guys send it in to us and feature it on the show. We talked about Deshaun Watson a second ago. But yesterday at OTAs, the media got its first chance to see Deshaun Watson truly throw in person since the shoulder surgery he had to go under after getting hurt against Baltimore. And, G, I want to start with you. It seemed that Deshaun was letting it rip, throwing it 30, 40 yards, according to different reports on multiple occasions.
Was it 40 yards?
I saw between 30 and 40, depending on which you read.
Okay, I heard 30.
Okay, they
It was
40's
between
even
30.
better.
I mean, it depends on where you're counting, where he threw from and whatnot. But
yeah.
He was seemingly throwing without pain, G, and a couple of throws looked pretty good. So how encouraging was it for you to see Deshaun Watson be able to kind of uncork it, let it rip this early in training camp without any seemingly restrictions, I guess, for lack of a better
Man,
word?
that's where you're supposed to be at. Listen, I didn't change my whole tune. Look, I'm with
5,000?
Well, I'm with Deshaun. I said I need the 5,000, whether
Okay.
he delivers the 5 or not. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to see what that looked like. But here's my thing. I see Elijah Moore's back at camp. Good job, Elijah.
Yeah, I wonder what led to that, by the way.
Hey, people be watching the show kind of.
We went in on a Monday.
Yeah, like it was, and we wasn't trying to be all the way. We just said, hey, look, if you're at the crib, your people should say, hey, that little vacation, we're going to finish that out. We'll come back and get that together later on. But I'm going to tell you what, Deshaun Watson, to me, I think he's going to be ready to go. And he told me, and I'm going to take his word for it, right? When he said, I expect to play well this year. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I'm expecting to play well. And I like that mindset. I don't want to hear I got some rust, or we need to hit this track running. We look at that schedule. That schedule that we got, that denotes that Deshaun Watson has to be doing this right now. Because if he wasn't doing this by now, this ain't one of those years where you could just come limping out the gates. You got to be ready to go. But I'm also with Bull on this one. That's cool. It's practice. I like to see it. I would much rather you be out there that you throwing the ball and it looks good than not be out there. But you know what it is, Bull. Come on now.
The only thing I care about is that he's able to do it.
Yeah, you have
right.
That's it.
Agree.
That's
I
all
don't
that
care
matters.
what it looks like.
Yeah.
The details of it. He's healthy enough to throw deep balls.
Yep.
That's it. How much zip there is? He's not wearing equipment. They're not wearing equipment. There's no pressure. There's no nothing. I only care that he's healthy enough to be on the field and making those throws.
Just like Joe Burrow, right?
That's it. That's all I want.
Cool. That's all we need to know.
That's all I want. You want the guys healthy enough to do what they have to do. We can't. I say this all the time about OTAs and mini camps. Coaches and players can learn things about each other or whatever. We don't learn from the outside. We don't learn anything about OT. Just that a guy could be there. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't really learn anything. Is he going to be better this year? We can't tell that by watching him in practice. But it's definitely a major positive that he's out there.
Well, we have all heard the biggest part of ability is availability.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And I couldn't agree more with both of you guys. It's May 31st. So we have all June, all of July, all of August before he'll throw a meaningful pass.
That's right.
The fact that he looks like an NFL quarterback again is exactly where we need him to be. Now, you said that's where he's supposed to be. The interesting thing about this is, and we might end up cutting him slack the first month of the season, and here's why, guys. This is unprecedented, what he's coming back from for an NFL quarterback. This is a baseball pitcher's injury.
Right.
So the exact injury that he had, the folks that I've talked to have dug and dug and dug and dug, and they can't find one.
So strange that it's never happened before.
It is strange, but when I heard that, I go, there has to be a case.
Yeah.
No, there really isn't. This is not an injury that you see that's a common injury for NFL quarterbacks. So the fact that he's out there slinging a football and it looks like an NFL quarterback is, I think, very optimistic. But I'm not going to – and I tried to judge the zip on the ball. I had an NFL quarterback tell me once that he was playing with a sore shoulder. And he told me, do you understand the difference between my full fastball and what I'm working with now, which is about 3 to 4 miles an hour slower? He said all those out completions are pick sixes. Mm-hmm. All of them.
Yeah.
That's how precise this game is.
Right.
You can't get by with 90 to 95%, especially on that out. When you're making that throw to the flats, and you could have a corner that's sitting on that route, if it's a tick slow getting to the receiver, it's going the other way.
That's right. And I'll just speak for myself. I can't tell the difference.
I can't
just
either.
Watching it, at practice. How can you tell the difference?
I wonder if anybody has put a jugs gun on his throws.
Yeah, I would think.
Not a jugs gun, a jugs machine is an actual radar gun.
Right. Yeah.
I'd be curious to know.
What I would like to see is I would be curious to get context. Like sometimes if you got 2 3 quarterbacks and they do the drill at the same time, you can see, okay, well, Jameis Winston and Huntley are throwing the ball. What does it look like?
Their ball's getting to the target quicker than
I would like to see that. But the crazy thing is, all of this stuff we're waiting to see, I don't think we're going to see it to the first game.
No, he's not going to play in the preseason.
He's not going to play.
Why would you?
You
wouldn't risk it. No,
not one snap in the preseason.
And I think we've seen a shift in philosophy in the league the last couple of years. The first 3 games now feel like the preseason. And but when you have 17 games instead of 16, it doesn't sound like a huge difference, but it does give you a little bit more of a safety net early on to figure things out. And teams, we're a couple years into the 17 games, and teams really haven't adjusted the way they're using their players or not using their players in the preseason. So I'd be stunned if we saw him more than a half. I do think that they would want to get him out there for at least a half.
See, I don't know. I don't think he's. I'm with G. I don't think he's going to play at all. I don't think he's going to play at all.
I want to see him for at least a half.
Another thing, not
one
only
game,
not only the 17 games, Jay, but obviously whenever they changed this a couple of years ago, I don't remember the exact year, but now the 7 playoff teams.
Sure.
So not only is there more games, but there's more opportunity to get into
more
the
room
postseason.
for error.
Right.
So they're using those early games more. But with the thing with the Browns, you can't slip slip up those first couple games.
Not this division.
That is and look at the first quarter of their schedule.
Yeah. Well,
it's going to be fun.
We haven't talked about this, which I can't believe we have, or we haven't got to this point, is he got injured running the football. Like, what are your thoughts on the way he plays the game? Like, is now like running plays, quarterback design runs out of the picture? Is it is it you want him to slide like at all times? Is he now to a point where you're like, listen, that part of your game has to go away?
Gee, I hope not. And Bull, the reason I say that is I hearken back to RG3, who had so much success in his rookie season because he was a true dual threat guy. After the ACL injury, a non-throwing injury, I mean, that's obviously his lower half, the Redskins wanted him to no longer run the football. And he lost his magic touch. It's the defense no longer having to protect against that scramble.
Yeah.
And when they know that's off the table, you get in Chicago what Chicago had with Justin Fields. They told Justin Fields, you're not going to run.
Right.
Well, I think it was either he or a writer referred to that as you took off Superman's cape.
Yeah.
You can't take away that part of his game, and I hope the Browns don't do that.
I think there's also a difference between, hey, the play's breaking down, I'm going to scramble and get out of there, versus a designed run.
Sure.
Like, I don't know that, I mean, I didn't follow it as closely, but I don't think, he's not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson gets a lot of design run plays in the offense.
He does.
In Houston, they didn't do a ton of design run plays to Deshaun,
No.
and I don't think they should do a ton here.
But the part of his
yes,
game,
he's got to be able to scramble and use his legs as part of the repertoire, no doubt.
He is an escape artist.
Yes, but he
can do that.
But to your point, G, he has to be. Listen, he's not old, but he's not young anymore.
No.
He's got to be careful about the hits he takes when he runs.
You know what it's like, Bull? It's like in baseball when they decide with Bryce Harper, we want you to have a 20-year career, not a 12-year career. You're no longer a catcher.
Right. Hey.
And you make it work.
Yeah.
You make it work. And he has. And
well, even now they've moved him from the outfield to first base. You know,
yes,
like you're an awesome hitter. Let's just focus
hit
on that.
And you get into your 40.
Yeah.
And you know, when you watch guys, and I hate comparison. I don't like to do that, but you know, when you look
are
at
the king of comparison. What are you talking about?
Patrick Mahomes, right?
Oh boy.
He's mobile, right?
Yeah.
He never seems to get hit hard.
He's way bigger than Deshaun.
He finds a way to move, duck, slide, get out of bounds. The same with
Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Lamar's
very good.
Dead-on hit.
Josh Allen takes a lot of big hits.
Josh Allen runs to contact.
Yes.
He's huge, but he takes a lot. Now, even as big as he is, it will catch up to him eventually. Because look at Cam Newton. I mean, Cam Newton's huge.
Well, those two quarterbacks, Bo, I'm glad you mentioned those two in particular because they both played for Ken Dorsey, who's now here in Cleveland as the offensive coordinator. And if you go back and look at some of the playbooks that Ken designed and ran in Carolina with Cam when he won an MVP, by the way.
Sure.
And with Josh Allen, where the offense was prolific, not necessarily to the extent of an MVP season, but they put up good numbers.
I mean, it was close.
They used the quarterback run a lot, but I don't think it's fair to compare Deshaun to those two because Cam and Josh Allen are aliens in terms of their physical. Their stature.
Yeah.
They're
huge.
6'5", 230, 240. Cam may even be even bigger.
Deshaun's
not built
could
like
not
that.
take that level of
And I hope,
he just couldn't.
And I bring that up to say I hope that Ken Dorsey, when he brings over the staples of his offensive philosophy, that's not part of something that he's like steadfast on holding on to.
Not only
I don't think Deshaun could
difference,
just take the physical beating that those guys could.
Sorry, Mike. Not only is there a size difference, but also Deshaun's now got an injury history. So you got to be careful with the design runs and him taking.
I mean, he's torn. Like, I don't want to turn this into the Deshaun Watson injury train, but he's torn his ACL twice.
Yeah.
Like he's a 2-time ACL guy, right? You know, if you go back to Houston, a lot of the design runs he had were on the goal line. I don't know how I feel about you being with 9 linebackers in a game on goal line.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's just one of those things where you think about it because it is a part of his game. You want him to be able to play his game the way he is. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing, and I think everybody can agree on this, is it's almost to the point where even if you play average, but it's a whole season, you'd rather take that than have 8 games where you look spectacular and then you're just injured the rest of the year. Like to me, he has to play 17 games, all of them. Like it's imperative. It just is.
He has never played 17 games.
Well, there were. He's played 16
since they
before
put the
there were
schedule to
17 games. Yeah.
The last 3 seasons, he went no games.
I mentioned this yesterday when we were here, and I said, I wonder if Deshaun regrets sitting out that 2021
Oh, he has
season.
to, Bull.
Right?
He has to.
Because maybe the rust wouldn't have been as bad each of these years had he played that year in Houston.
Yeah.
But,
and who knows? Had he not sat out, he may still be in Houston.
I guess we'll never know, but.
My dad used to always say he coached everything I did, and I used to play 3 sports. And he said, well, if you play 3 sports after the age of 14, you're going to be playing 3 sports the whole time. And don't think you can quit one of them and be like, I'm going to take a year off. It don't work like that. You're out of here.
It's very tough to come back, and he has seen that, especially at the very highest level. And then, of course, he had no way of knowing that he was also going to be suspended for the first 11 games of the next season.
Sure, right.
So it really turned into this 2-year inactivity stint that he's still, I think, trying to fight out of that box.
Absolutely. So. And by the way, we started with this poll, and I wasn't even thinking about it at the time, but obviously Dak against Deshaun in week 1. We talked about the poll, and now they get to play each other.
We'll see.
That's right.
We will see.
And I actually haven't been on the panel with you because I was sick last Friday.
Yeah, I haven't seen
since the schedule came out. Well, how were you feeling about that Cowboy game? I think it's an exciting week 1 game.
I think it's a great game to start the season.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's not a divisional game. I just always thought that
all those division games late. Yeah.
And that's an interesting shift for the NFL because
no doubt.
they used to love to roll out of the box with all these huge division rivalries. And I think, and this is just my guessing, I think that they have also recognized that the overwhelming coaching philosophy is to sort of use those first 2 or 3 games as buffers. Let's see what we've got. And that's why I'm glad they're putting the most important games later in the schedule. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I wonder if this has ever happened before. The Browns don't play a road division game until week 14.
Well, the scary thing about that is that they have 3 of the last 4 are on the road.
I wonder if that's ever happened before.
Bull, I didn't notice that anomaly.
Yeah, I think it's 14, 16, and 18 that they play their road
shaft on that one. That is not good.
Season. That's your season there.
Now you better win those home playoff games.
It puts such a big division games.
Or at least
wow, because you've got no breathing room down the stretch, and that's when the playoff picture comes clear.
Yeah.
Yikes! I didn't notice that.
And their last 5 games? I mean, that is as hard as it gets. But you know what? And I've said this for the last couple of years. When you're a good team, it doesn't matter who you play.
No, you're right.
If you're good enough, you're up for every challenge.
Yeah, I think it was Earl said this is the first time in his Browns fandom where he looked at the schedule and he actually said, I don't care who we play, when we play them, and where we play them.
That's right.
We should win these games. And that's what Kansas City says.
That's right.
When the schedule comes out, that's what New England said for years when the schedule came out. And it's good. Now, I don't exactly get to that comfort level. I am concerned about some of these dates.
Right. Yeah.
But it's good that Earl, who is a diehard, can look at it and say, bring them on.
Let's go.
Play you in a parking lot on a Tuesday night.
It'll be fun. If you're in the chat, if you support Ultimate Cleveland Sports, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It costs $0.00. Helps us out a ton, and we can't say thank you guys enough for the constant and continued support. Jay, we did this a little bit on the TV show last week. We only had 2 minutes, so we got a little longer now, and I want to dive back into this.
It's a great topic, Mike.
With Bull here. The NFL is going to implement, for the preseason, some digital spotting technology that in theory could replace the chain gang in the NFL. And if it works, they're going to vote on it, and it may get implemented for the regular season. We went back and forth real quick in a 2-minute TV segment last week, but it wasn't enough time to dive truly into this, so I'll pass it back to you guys.
Bull should start, because
Bull.
G and I talked about this a little bit.
Are you anti-chain gang?
I've already got the 411 on where you guys stand, and I got to say something about Mike. He is high. I mean, he's absolutely high. When this conversation came up, I don't know if he was doing heroin. I don't know if it was opium. He went to some opium den or something.
He was just out of his mind.
Now, they got to make sure it's right. They got to make sure the technology is accurate.
100% accurate. It can't be 98%.
No.
It's got to be 100% foolproof.
But if they can somehow make sure that it's 100% accurate, this is phenomenal news. I hate it. It's the dumbest thing ever that we have self-driving cars, Jay. My buddy just told me he bought a Tesla, and it's a self-driving car. He doesn't hold the wheel. He's going around his little hillbilly town in Pennsylvania with no hands on the steering wheel. And we have two old guys on the sideline holding poles and a chain, and they're taking out credit cards to measure sometimes. This is the stupidest thing I ever heard. We have technology. We need to use it. We've talked about it with all sports. If they can get this right, this is awesome. Because let's face it, especially on those plays where there's the pileup of humanity in the middle.
Right.
You don't even know where the hell the ball is.
You can't see the ball.
You have no idea.
And you know what? I think we misguided the direction of the argument last week, and a little bit here. We're putting it on chain gang or technology.
Right.
I don't blame the chain gang. The chain gang is instructed to do what they do.
The officials don't know where the hell the ball is. They're guessing.
It's the line judge. These guys.
That's right.
And to your point, on goal line dives.
Yes.
You can't even see the football.
You have no idea.
So how do we know where it went? You have to rely on a higher source of technology.
That's right.
Some sort of laser beam, and that chip passes it this much, then it passed it.
Beautiful.
And nobody has to unpile bodies and see where the ball eventually landed. Here's the thing, and I thought of this after the argument, and this is the mic drop for me. You got to be a tennis fan to get this. If you're not, you won't.
Oh, they've been doing this for 20 years.
Watch any French Open's going on today.
VAR.
Watch tennis, and they've got this replay figured out. It's all technology. Within 3 seconds of the disputed call, everybody in Roland Garros or the New York tennis facility, wherever you are, Arthur Ashe, wherever you are, within 3 seconds, everybody sees it on the big screen where the ball landed in real time. And everybody at home on the viewing audience. Now go back and watch, I don't know, Borg McEnroe, July 4th, Wimbledon, 1979.
Yeah, right.
And watch how much time from that 5-set marathon was dedicated to complaining about calls.
Especially John McEnroe with his curly hair. He's up there like, what's going on?
You cannot be serious.
Now, he was funny, though.
It was great entertainment.
He's breaking wooden rackets.
Now, to that, I love those. I love those disputes.
Yeah.
Just like I loved Earl Weaver, nobody in our audience will understand
Billy Martin.
that. Just how I love a manager comes storming out of the dugout on a tirade. Like, those moments are gone from baseball history.
Yes.
They're gone.
Finished.
Because there's a crew that calls it, they send it to New York or New Jersey, they look at it and they say, nope, out or safe. And there's no arguing now. It's technology. And that's where, in these football games, where these games are decided by these calls, by the way, many games in the past have been decided on spots.
Yep.
The Browns, I can think off the top of my head, 4 games that they
6.
absolutely had snatched from them because they got a bad spot, either for or against them, or, whether they were on offense or defense, but they all went against them. Fix this. And if you have the technology to do it, and you hit it, I think the salient point here is it has to be foolproof.
Even if you can't start it for another 2 years or 3 years.
Get the technology right.
It's got to be right. Once you got it right, that's it.
Now, here's the thing. Yeah. They don't need to just look at that. They need to look at spotting the ball.
Well, that's what this is all about.
Yeah. Because when you get guys that the ref is looking down the line of scrimmage, right? And then when the guy lands and he's down, you got guys running in. Like, you're not running in a straight line.
Right.
You're weaving back and forth.
It's just crazy.
And then you grab the ball, and then you're like, well, let me just move it back 2 inches.
And we're watching on TV
That's not
like,
exact.
he moved an inch, whatever.
I know. And listen, an inch can make the difference of a first down or a turnover, which can make the difference in winning or losing a game, particularly when this happens late. Here's my dream of the NFL future, okay? That every single play, the ball is spotted by this technology.
Right.
Yeah, that's
every single play. So if it's 1st and goal or 1st and 10 from the 25, and you get a 4-yard pickup and it's 4.5 yards, you don't have to rely on that sideline judge to come running in and then move it to the hash mark, and maybe he walked forward, maybe he walked back.
Yeah.
Where is the ball? And my hope is that technology will say the nose of the ball is to be spotted at the 24.2 yard line.
In digital,
digital,
crisp
increments of millimeters.
Just and then if you move too far, it makes a loud noise.
That's it. And once you have new technology, there's always a little time of adjustment. But It's great. Anything to make the game more accurate, to me, is better for the sport.
I agree. Now, Mike, now that you've heard Bull's argument and we piled on you again, you get the chance for a rebuttal here.
I have a very simple rebuttal.
Okay.
And I'm asking G. I'm talking to G. Bush here. J, Bull, respectively. This is me and a G conversation.
Okay,
G,
go.
What do Browns fans love most in the world?
Wins.
What do Browns fans love second most in the world?
Beer.
In football terms.
Beer might be one.
The other AFC North teams taking L's.
Yeah.
And number 3, and this is what I'm looking for. Number 3, complaining about the refs. If we have digital technology spotting the ball perfectly,
there's still plenty of other things
what are we
going to
complain about?
Late hits, holding calls, offsides,
the hip drag tackle
I can
flag.
see
That's
this.
coming.
You know it's coming to Cleveland.
And it's not just Browns. It's all fans. I'm just using Browns fans because we're talking about Cleveland football show here.
Mike,
But
there's still...
you are going to lose a dynamic element of the game, which
We'll
is the
find out the
drama
things
that
to
comes with the chain
bitch
gang
about.
coming out and not knowing if it's half a yard short, if it's one chain link. The drama and the camaraderie you build with your friends watching games as you
That's
guys
absurd.
live or die
Mike.
on the ever half of a yard of football.
So there will never be another pass interference call to scream and yell about?
But spots,
Well,
You
two
create
things, Mike.
drama.
Number one, to me personally, the thing I least like about sports is complaining about officials. I hate that.
Yeah.
It's the least interesting thing to me. Number two, Jay suggested, and I agree, that they should spot the ball, in theory, every play with this technology, which I agree.
I actually do agree with that part.
In a
I
game,
agree
how
with
many
that part.
plays are there, roughly, in a game?
150?
120.
Oh, let's say there's 120 plays. On average, how many times do they bring out the chain gang?
6?
4 or 5,
Four?
yeah.
All right, so that's what? 5%, maybe?
Yeah, but you
Little
know what?
less.
It's probably not even 4.
Okay, so let's say 97% of the time you're not bringing out the chain gang. So it's only affecting your drama, I guess, 3% of the time.
But that's
So
what makes
a
it
great
better,
point,
is
Bull.
when it comes up, it's a play that you know is
But here's the other
consequential to
thing.
the outcome of the game.
Look how many games have been decided on 4th and inch tries when you didn't see the football, the cameras didn't see the football.
Right.
God knows where it is at the bottom of that pile. If there is a laser that spots on the field the furthest point of the tip of the football and where that managed to reach, and you drop the ball right there, if it's on the goal line, it's a touchdown.
That's it.
There's no more. Let me ask before we wrap this up, because I don't know that we've ever had this conversation. Maybe we have. The equivalent to me, but it's even more dramatic, is the strike zone in baseball. Do you want the automated strike zone?
I still like the umpires.
I don't.
You'd still have to have a home plate umpire.
Of course.
To be there.
You would, yes.
But I want, again, just like my last point, has to be this even more so.
Perfect.
The accuracy has to be perfect, no exceptions.
But the thing is,
But yes, I'm all in
the
if they get the
technology,
technology.
Because I am too now.
The technology is already there. When you watch tennis matches, they'll call a fault when the ball is supposedly out of bounds, right? But he'll call fault, and then there's a beep, and that beep confirms what he just said. Then they could go to the track where you could actually see, and within millimeters, how often in the recreation, how outside of the line or inside the line it was on the Jumbotron. It's just there. You just see it. And it lands right over here. If the line is here, the ball lands here. You obviously
Tennis
know
nailed it. They
it's
got it
done.
right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's easier, I think, than
It
baseball
is easier
and
because there's
football,
only
but-
certain calls to be
Right,
made.
right.
And they're definitively in or out.
Right, it's in or out,
And
that's
you're
it.
but you are tracking the tennis ball.
Right.
And you're seeing where it landed on the court, and within seconds, I was at the U.S. Open the second year they had this technology, and I was like, oh my God, this is changing. This will change sports.
I'm hoping
all of sports.
I hope we get there. The balls and strikes before the end of the decade. I'm hoping.
I am too. It seems
Yeah.
like they're trending that way. And by the
Yeah.
way, have we had a moment of silence for Angel?
We did earlier in the week, yeah.
I know you
gosh.
guys did that, but
Yeah.
oh man, I saw so many funny memes on him. I saw the funniest one was you saw a selfie of a guy that was like this. And it says Angel Hernandez selfie, and you can
poor
barely
Angel.
see his face. It was so good.
Poor Angel.
One of
So
my
many-
favorite ones was a thread of all Angel Hernandez's best calls.
Yeah.
And end of thread was the next tweet, so I thought that was funny. All right, we're going to move on, guys.
Real quick, Mike.
Yes.
By the way, I know we're not talking about the Guardians until the WKYC show, but real quick, I'm putting out a parlay. I hit a 4-leg parlay for you. I hope you bet with me on Tuesday. I had a 4-leg parlay.
Ooh, nice.
I had Tyler Glasnow and Tarek Skubal over on strikeouts and the Pirates and Tigers to win. We went 4-0 on that. I got one today. I'm going to be putting it out later. It includes the over. I'll give you one leg of the 4. The over on Tanner Bybee's strikeouts tonight. I think it's 5.5.
Taking the over?
Taking the over.
Okay, very good.
All right, make sure you check out Bull's Bets. Also, 5 o'clock, the Ultimate Brown Show with G. Bush is coming up, so make sure you guys tap into the YouTube channel to catch the latest on the Browns with your guy, G. Bush. All right, guys, I did this with Jason on Wednesday, and I can't wait to get some of your guys' reactions to this. This is middle of the summer, nothing going on. Let's have some fun. So I came up with this idea.
Technically, it's still spring, Mike, but go ahead.
Whatever. You are right. You are right. I decided to compare the Cavs' best players to some NFL quarterbacks. And this has nothing to do with anything. I'll tell you why I put each one with each quarterback. This was just, let's have some fun. So let's have some fun.
So it's basically their NFL quarterback equivalent. So
yes. And I'll give you all the reasons why.
Mike, you did 9 guys, right?
I did 9 guys, correct.
I'm told, Jason told me Mike did an excellent job in 7 out of 9.
Oh, okay.
That was his.
See if we can pick the 2 picks.
Yeah. Exactly. And this would be a nice little lead into Chris Fedor, who's going to join us at noon. I'll give you guys the reason, and then you guys tell me if you like the comparison or if you don't like the comparison.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's do
Our
it.
first Cavs to NFL quarterback comparison. Donovan Mitchell is Dak Prescott.
Oh, I think that's dead on.
They're very good. There's no question they are very good players. But the question is, are they good enough to be the face of your franchise and lead you to the promised land? They both have relatively decent playoff numbers, but the playoff success does not correlate with said numbers. You got to ask yourself, really, what's the ceiling with this guy as the face of your franchise? And they both have contract questions lingering, and you have to ask, is this player worth the distraction that comes with said contract discussion? So my comparison for Donovan Mitchell was the face of the NFL in terms of their biggest team in their biggest city.
Do you guys like that?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I think Donovan Mitchell is better than Dak Prescott.
See, I think Dak's better than Donovan. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't think Dak's better than Donovan necessarily, but if you ask me which team is more likely to win a championship with this guy as their best player, I'd say the Cowboys. Just because Donovan Mitchell is a point guard, or is a small guard.
Yeah,
traditionally
so the
you don't
player
win
impact,
championships with small
the
guards.
position impact is different.
Right, not that Dak is necessarily a better player.
But Dak was in the MVP discussion.
Right, I actually think it's a very good comparison. The only thing I disagree with Mike is about distraction. I actually don't think either is a distraction, but because they're both good teammates.
Yeah,
as far
to
as
call
I know.
a contract negotiation or extension a distraction, I don't think that it isn't.
Yeah.
Now, if you mean distraction, like it's holding up things.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
by that, it could be a distraction. Because, like, the second domino to fall in the Cavs offseason is Donovan.
And just like with
And
Dallas,
the third one and fourth one and fifth one can't happen until we know what happens with the second
exactly.
one.
Yeah,
You're
not
not
a
trading
not a
Darius
distraction,
Garland
like
if
it's taken
Donovan's
away from the
opting
team.
out.
Right, sure.
Or he can't opt out, demands a trade.
Yeah.
Or says he won't re-sign.
But
Yeah,
I like
didn't mean
the
a distraction
comparison.
in a
G
bad
doesn't
way,
like
just
it.
like a distraction until.
Jay and I like it. G does not like it, Mike.
Okay.
So, gee, we're talking about a guy in Mitchell, or I mean in Prescott, he got MVP votes, I think.
I mean, Dak Prescott is one. What is he, the 7th best quarterback, the 8th best quarterback? I mean, somewhere. Even if you have a little lower, I mean, he's somewhere between the 7th and I guess at worst the 12th best quarterback in the league.
I mean,
that's pretty darn good.
Donovan Mitchell is an All NBA caliber player.
Not first team.
I mean, second team. That's 6 people.
And so is Dak.
That's with just quarterbacks.
Where did Dak finish last year in the MVP race? He had
Second.
a phenomenal regular season.
Finished second.
Okay, he was second in the MVP race.
I'm not saying it ain't far off. Like, to me, when I look at the comparison, like, it's like when I think of Donovan Mitchell, I think of explosiveness, right? If I think of, you know what I'm saying, I think of the athleticism, I think of, you know what I'm saying, the physicality. When I think of Dak Prescott, to me, Dak Prescott, the style of game he plays, it's just like, okay, he's a thrower to football.
You're looking more stylistically.
Yeah,
I think
I
Bull
think
and I
that's
were
fair.
looking, and probably you, we're looking at overall impact.
Now,
overall character.
Overall, like where he is in the pantheon of the league, I think that it's comparable.
All right, Mike. So your
What's
record's
next?
2-1. Your record's 2-1 after the first round.
Second one. We've mentioned this one on the show a tiny bit, but Darius Garland is Jay's boy. It's Baker Mayfield. He's good, but is he good enough? There's flashes of brilliance, but they are few and far between.
I like that too,
Clutch
man.
gene
I think that's
is a
great.
giant question mark. They drive you bananas. They're decisive in the fan base. You know they can play at a level above what they have played at the rest of their careers, but the question is, do you know exactly what you're getting on a
And
game
they both
basis?
may think they're better than they actually are. I think that's another comparison.
Yeah.
Undersized.
A similarity.
I
Undersized.
actually don't love this one because I actually think Darius is a little maybe not. I think Darius might be a tier better than Baker is in their sports, but it's close because I think Darius is at the bottom end of his tier and Baker's probably the top end of his.
You know what's
tier,
funny to
but,
me is like my big criticism of Garland this year was in close and late, when you need him to be his best,
Crunch time was not good.
he was not good.
And that's what Baker.
And that's
yeah.
been Baker's MO throughout his career. It's
It's a good comparison.
I like it.
Also, let me throw out, this is not like, hey, Donovan's the 11th best player in basketball.
I understand what you're going for here.
I'm going more
it's
big
kind
picture.
of it's almost like you're going with the football spirit.
There's one later where the basketball player is nowhere near as good as the football player, but I'll explain why.
Okay.
In comparison. So this
were
is not,
those the ones, by the way, that Jason didn't like? The ones coming later?
Jason liked the first two. Jason
Okay,
liked the first
I'm all in on the first two.
And the only thing I would disagree about, I do think the comparison overall is on. The only thing I will say is Baker shows way more competitive nature than
personality wise, I don't think they're similar at all.
Yeah.
Baker is more fiery. He shows he shows more emotion. Like you can never say Baker doesn't.
I agree with you. I think winning means more to Baker than it does to Garland.
Yeah.
At least from their outward
the outward
expressions.
demeanor, right?
Maybe Garland secretly is in a black room for 30 days over the loss. I don't know. But to me, it seems like winning and dying for Baker, that's why his teammates like him.
Yeah.
Because this dude wants to win, and he'll go do whatever he has to do to try to get them to the victory.
All right, third one. Evan Mobley is Trevor Lawrence. Extremely high draft pick. Super talented. The ceiling is exponential, but they have yet to put it all together
That's
in a
the
way
best
you'd
one
want.
yet.
That is right on, man.
Yeah.
This is really good, Mike.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's really good.
Jason, that was his favorite, by the way.
It was his favorite?
That one
Because
was his favorite.
I think that might be my favorite so far, too.
Yeah.
Because we was told that Trevor Lawrence was once in a generation. Anytime I'm about to jump off the once in a generation bandwagon. Like you told me about that with your boy RG3. You told me that with Andrew Luck.
Now he was for a couple of years. But
You told me that with Trevor Lawrence, and I've seen nothing generational about nothing but his hair.
No.
His hair is generational. Goldilocks. He pretty. Like
he's
Goldilocks.
had one good year, one below average year, and one terrible year.
Yeah, his
so
first
far in
year
the
was
NFL.
terrible.
Yeah.
So
Now,
I
we
mean,
could give that to Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just a train wreck
But
of a
like
franchise.
by the second half of year two, it looked like he was really trending in the right direction. And
did.
last year,
You know what's
he was
interesting?
mediocre at best.
I'm wondering, and I'm not predicting this at all, but their trajectories are similar, although he didn't have the horrible year to start. C.J. Stroud, I think a lot of people are just expecting Houston to keep going this way.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them, by the way.
Yeah.
But everybody 2 years ago or last year said Jacksonville is going this way.
Right.
And they took a step back.
Sure. I mean, the difference
So-
is Trevor Lawrence had a bad year before he had his good
That's
year.
the difference.
And Trevor Lawrence wasn't as good in his second year
As C.J. Stroud was in his rookie,
last year.
yeah.
I was mentioning this the other day. I mean, it might be the best rookie season I've ever seen from a quarterback.
Well, if you go big picture,
Statistically,
yeah.
he had a rookie head coach and never before had a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach won an NFL playoff game.
Yeah.
Now, it came at our expense, so I don't love that. But you're right,
Yeah.
Bull. I mean, I think that
I mean,
in
if I'm
terms of rookie quarterbacks, it's the most memorable. Peyton Manning's rookie quarterback, go back and look at his stats.
threw a
rookie
million
season.
picks.
29 interceptions.
Unbelievable. He was horrible.
Yeah.
But look what he became.
Now, different game.
Much different.
Offense can get away with more now. But, yeah, I mean, if I'm starting a team from scratch, I don't know that I'm waiting too many picks before I take C.J. Stroud.
I'm with you.
And if he does it again this year, then I think he's going to be in the top five already.
We're going to see if you put your money where your mouth is. You going to draft him?
Would I draft C.J. Stroud?
I'm talking about in fantasy because it's coming.
Oh, I certainly might. I mean, it depends where I'm picking. I might not be able to get him if I don't pick high enough.
It wouldn't be a bad pick.
In a 2-quarterback league, I mean, he's a top 5 or 6 pick.
All right, next up, our guy Jared Allen. He's a good player, a solid player. But he's kind of like Kirk Cousins. He's consistent, a model of consistency. Kirk, we know the primetime Kirk mantra, not great in primetime. Jared once said he was scared of bright lights. So I went with this. There's a limited ceiling. They're better than you probably think.
Did he say he was afraid of bright lights?
I
don't want to twist the man's quote.
Paraphrasing a little bit. But
maybe the lights were too bright.
So wasn't ready for the bright lights then. How about we put it that way? And
That's
Kirk,
what he
we
said.
know, is not a primetime performer.
Yeah, but
they're solid. They're good
scared of
players.
them, I don't know.
You want them on your team, but you have a limited ceiling if these guys are one of the main pieces of your franchise.
What do you guys think of that? I'm not as in love with this one as I was the first one.
See, because I think Kirk Cousins is just a hair behind Dak Prescott. And I don't think Jared Allen's only a hair. But Mike's saying it doesn't have to be how good they are as players. I get what he's saying. I'm with you. I don't love this one.
If you watch, I see what you're saying. Like, if you watch their demeanor, like, they both look like guys that, like, definitely go to some sort of, religious service on Wednesday nights. You know what I'm saying? They lead Bible study. They like shop at Target, like, with their family. Like, they wear regular nondescript clothing.
Yes.
They drive regular cars.
Nothing about them says "look at me."
Not at
except
all.
Except for Jared's
Jared would be
afro. It's hard to hide him.
Right.
And Kirk
The afro
Cousins chains.
and almost 7 feet tall.
Right. They're home at 8 o'clock.
Jason did not love that one either.
That's funny.
But he couldn't think of a better comp. So I'm gonna hold back. If you don't like it, that's fine. But if you don't have a better comp, then
what's interesting, it would have been fun to do this, but probably take more time. Is you give us the player and we say who our comparison
We'll do it
was,
reverse.
and then you show who you had.
What about Jared Allen Tua? I don't even like that, and I recommend it.
No.
Jay, we'll find a way to do it reverse. We'll do Browns to NBA players.
Yeah.
And we'll do it that way. All right, next one. And now this one, Steve, don't take it yet. The football player is way better than the basketball player. This is not a comparison, but Max Strus is Jared Goff. In the right system, this player can be a very, very capable player. When Strus was in Miami, starting two guard on a team that made the NBA Finals, in Detroit with the perfect system around him, with good running backs, good receivers, Jared Goff led the Lions to an NFC championship. When you take him out of the system, they don't look nearly as good. Strus struggled here in Cleveland.
You're saying they're both purely system players, and I would disagree with Goff.
Jared Goff had some success in the Rams.
Yes, he did. That's why
he's been better in Detroit. But
Goff is a good, underrated quarterback.
100%.
And maybe it's position again, the impact of the position. I see what you're going for there.
They're system plays.
How when they're in the right system, they're much, much better than when they're in just...
I got a comp. See,
Gardner Minshew?
That's it.
No,
Really?
Gardner's coming up for someone else.
Gardner's
coming up for someone else.
Because I say Gardner Minshew and Max Strus are both bench players masquerading as starters.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, hold on. We'll talk Minshew.
And they've had success.
And they've had some success.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I would definitely go with Minshew over Goff. Well, I just think Goff is getting, and not just by you here, I just think Goff
No, he's really good.
has not received his due.
No, he's really good.
He
but
had that awful year, and I feel like...
It's hard to get that out of our mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
That taste out of our mouth.
And it, to some degree, the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl with him, it felt like he was along for the ride.
You're really high on Goff.
I like Goff
as
a lot.
guy that could be an MVP candidate and could win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah,
Detroit's the sexy pick.
I think Jared Goff has the life that Justin Herbert is masquerading in. I feel like Goff has a way better resume. I feel like he's played better in multiple systems, but we give Herbert all the accolades that we get.
Because Herbert's got more tools. He's a more physically gifted player.
I mean, Goff.
But yes, Goff has done way more.
Yeah.
For the sake of this exercise, I can only use a quarterback once, and Gardner Minshew to me is Karis LeVert. On one day,
that's pretty good.
On one day, this could look at the best player in the league. He could drop 51 on the Celtics. Minshew could put up 4 touchdowns against the Cleveland Browns, that vaunted Cleveland Browns defense. On another day, he could be the guy that you say, you are so bad I can't put you on the court, Karis. And Gardner could be so bad he's bounced around to 4 different teams in the last 4 years.
I think Karis LeVert is Baker. I think that's what Baker is. There are moments where you're like, this guy could be really good.
Yeah,
and there are other moments you're like, oh my God, this guy's horrendous.
Yeah, Baker's got a really high ceiling and a really low floor, and so does LeVert.
I think
any of these are comparable. I think Minshew works.
Yeah, you got to mix and match your personal preference.
I think Karis LeVert is Geno Smith.
No, Geno's consistent though. Karras' inconsistencies.
Geno's put some sneaky good seasons together in Seattle.
And Karis LeVert be sneaky, should be winning the 6th Man of the Year because he averaged like 16.
You know what, though?
He can get 50.
You know what? I think Jared Allen could be Geno Smith. He went from a guy who was like kind of disappointing early. Well, I don't think he was disappointing. But I think Geno the last couple of years is Jared Allen. He's kind of nondescript, but consistent.
I like that.
I like that.
You know,
I can roll with that.
Got a couple more. This next one is my personal favorite. Jason did not see this coming. Jason also loved this one. Isaac Okoro is Justin Fields. They have one definitive, unquestionable skill.
Yeah.
Isaac Okoro, his point of attack defense, is one of the top in basketball.
Fantastic.
Justin Fields, as a runner from the quarterback position, outside of Lamar Jackson, is as good as we've seen in the last couple of years.
That's true.
The rest of their games are a giant work in progress. Can Isaac Okoro shoot? Can he be a playoff performer? He has made improvements, but is he at a level that you expect from a guy who was drafted in the top 5? Justin Fields as a passer has gotten better, has shown flashes, but was not at the level where the Bears decided to keep him and decided to move on with Caleb Williams. And now both teams.
You don't like that one? Why
No.
not? Because I actually do like that one.
Both teams now have to decide, is it worth investing in their future?
I think if Kenny Pickett and Mac Jones had a kid, that's Isaac Okoro. And Justin Fields is Sam Merrill.
One trick.
Sam Merrill's
Merrill.
coming next. Don't worry. Sam Merrill's coming next.
The reason I don't like the Okoro thing is because Isaac Okoro is like really not good at like anything.
No.
He's a great defender.
I mean, like anything besides like guarding someone.
Is Justin Fields good at anything besides running?
I'm not totally done with Justin Fields.
I'm not either. I'm not done. I'm not either. Chicago limiting him running the ball was a terrible mistake.
I actually think he has way more upside, and he actually didn't get a shot to really get his money off.
Yeah.
Isaac Okoro's have every shot in the world.
I think with Pittsburgh, if Justin Fields get a chance, I think he'll be decent.
I'm worried.
I'm worried that he's going to be
I
good
still
at the end
think
of the
Justin
year.
Fields could become a legitimate starter in the NFL. Not a star, but a legitimate starter. I don't think Isaac Okoro is ever a legitimate starter.
He was playing very well against the Cleveland Browns. If it was for Flacco coming back, he played well.
He really damn near beat the Browns on a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Well, did he beat the Browns, or did the pick six and then the interception of the 1 yard line where they ran in beat the Browns? Almost beat the Browns. My point is, it's not quarterback to player. It's their skill sets and whatnot.
All right.
Which is why this next one.
This is fun, though. It's good.
Yeah,
one
one
more?
By the way, who made the graphics for these?
Anthony did a great job.
Wonderful job, Anthony.
Great job.
Your graphic skills have just come that's really well done. Just wanted to throw that out there.
No, he did a very good job. Very, very good job. All right, so this next player, Sam Merrill, Steve, don't take it yet, has one, and unlike Isaac, even less of an outside game. He has one skill that you can trust on any given point. Now, shooting's a little more varied than this next skill, but he's a shooter, right? Outside of that, you don't really know what you're getting from Sam Merrill. The quarterback I'm comparing him to has one elite trait as well. Sam Merrill's Jacoby Brissett. You need a three-pointer, you're putting in Sam Merrill. You need a 4th and 1 quarterback sneak. You're calling the QB sneak god, Jacoby Brissett. He's been on 4 different teams now.
That's absurd.
And he has been their designated QB sneaker on 3 of those 4 teams. We don't know if he'll be in New England. He just got there. But Merrill and Brissett have one skill that is above the league and everything else.
Is Jacoby Brissett's 4th and 1 really above the league?
Yeah, his numbers were stupid. His numbers, I'll find it up, but they were stupid when he was in Cleveland.
Most quarterback sneaks are successful, aren't they?
You know who was great at 4th and 1 was Tom Brady.
You missed this one, McNuggets. You missed this one.
Jalen Hurts has gotten every 4th and 1.
This is a very easy comparison. This was supposed to be a layup for you.
Yeah.
Sam Merrill's Taysom Hill.
Oh, I like that. That's
I
actually
like
a better
that
one.
too.
That's actually a better one, G. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
The one-trick pony.
One-trick pony comes in. And if Taysom Hill can, if you let him get his little package off, he can make you look real dumb.
And you look at Taysom,
and you know what's coming when he's in the game.
And it's like Sam Merrill. If Sam Merrill get hot and you just keep letting him shoot, you're like, who is this little D-League, G-League guy killing us today?
For both of them, you look at them and say, this guy's doing this?
Yeah, right.
I'll be mad.
Did Jason like that one or no?
No, Jason hated that one too.
That's what I thought.
I do have the Jacoby Brissett numbers, though. This was entering last season. Jacoby Brissett is 28 of 30 on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 QB sneaks for a 93.3% conversion rate.
The only one better is probably Jalen, right?
Jalen's not on this list, actually. Tom Brady is who it's being compared
It's a
to.
fraudulent list.
Jalen Hurts never misses.
88%. So he's 6% better than Tom Brady on those QB sneaks.
Tom Brady, I just remember being.
Well, how many times did Tom Brady do it versus Brissett?
119 versus 30.
I mean, come on. That's not,
You know.
Hey, 28 for 30 is 28 for 30.
Jacoby Brissett
30
reminds
times.
me of Al Horford. Like you like. I hate your leadership.
That's the worst.
Especially when they
We
playing
loved
well,
it when it was here.
But when they playing well, you like, but Jacoby Brissett shouldn't be playing that well. Al Horford should be retired on some island somewhere.
That is a fraudulent pick by you.
about
It was
to get
the
a
worst
Hey, Jason
one.
didn't like
Ended
it
it by
either. You
far
win
the
some, you
worst.
lose some. We have one more, then we're going to bring on Chris Fedor here.
Jacoby Brissett's not a starter.
Neither Sam Darnold.
Well, neither Sam Darnold. That's fair.
Last one. It's George Niang and Derek Carr. On paper, you get him and you're like, yes. And then it plays out in front, and you're like, I'm not quite sure what the hell I'm looking at. It drives you crazy more often than not. Great locker room guys, but on the court, on the field, it did not work out.
Yeah, I think.
how people had
I
played.
think that's pretty close.
I think it's more. I think it's being too nice to George Niang because Derek Carr at times has been a decent player.
but he lets you down time and time again.
I think it's more. I think the better comparison for George Niang is Sam Darnold.
I think.
Oh wow! Now that's a slap to
No,
Niang.
I would call George Niang Chase Daniel.
But he plays more. Daniel never played.
Yeah, he never
But
played.
You know what though? I think
Well,
I
who
think
says-
the perception of Niang
Yeah,
changed dramatically. At least for me,
Yeah.
changed dramatically in 1 year.
yeah,
I was stoked to get him.
yeah.
it was a
And
great
well-
signing on paper that did not pan
By
out.
the way,
No, it didn't
I
work.
got another one for you, Mike, that you left out.
I have one more too, but we got
Oh.
Fedor, so just tell me real quick.
Imani Bates
Who was he?
is Johnny Football.
No. G. Bush, you ready? Amani Bates is C.J. Stroud. A great rookie season. Blow up in his second year.
Yes, sir.
That's for you, G.
Let's go.
We're gonna
Let's
welcome
go.
him. We're gonna
Yes,
bring Chris
sir.
Fedor
What
in after a
alternative
word
universe
here
do you
from
call
FanDuel.
home?
It's winner take all time in the
I mean, he
NBA and
did
NHL.
finish
And
second for
FanDuel's
the
giving
Summer
you a shot
League
to bring
MVP.
home a big win of your own. Right now,
trying to
new
get me
customers
shit.
get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet.
gonna be the
That's
MVP this
$150
year.
to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And joining us now is Chris Fedor, the Cavs beat writer from Cleveland.com, who is in the know with all things Cavs. How you doing today, Chris?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Before we even
Chris.
start, we got to get to Imani Bates. Is he over? Is he Summer League MVP?
That's
You
his
already
answer
knew.
for you.
You already knew, Chris. You knew what you was walking into. Summer League MVP this year. Stop playing.
What a high bar.
Yeah, right.
Whew.
Is he going to play any significant
Bush.
minutes next year, Chris?
G. Bush, I think you surpassed the Amani Bates tweet quota in October. Somehow,
Well, that quota should be
somehow you
one.
kept it
Yeah.
going all the way through May. It
Yeah,
was
we
bizarre.
ready to go, bro. Like, yeah, we ready. Listen, him and the other Mobley.
Chris.
Whew.
G. Bush is going to die on that hill, and he might actually die on that hill.
He loves
I
him.
mean, he is running out of food. He is freezing cold on that hill. Oh, my God.
And he's
Nobody
the
has
only
come
one
to
left
help
on the
him
hill.
off that hill.
No, Earl's on the hill too.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't know if
Earl's on that hill.
Is he still as entrenched?
I think he
as-
is.
Earl's halfway on the hill. He would bring. He was going to bring me a
No,
sandwich.
Earl just said he's all the way on the hill.
All right,
He's
let's go.
fully on the
Let's
hill.
go.
No, seriously, Chris, is there any chance he plays legitimate minutes next year?
I find that hard to believe. This is a
Okay.
team that went to the Eastern Conference semifinals. I think a lot of things depend on what happens in this offseason, who comes back, who doesn't come back. But we're talking about a guy who he's on a two-way contract for a reason. He's young. He's still trying to learn how to be a pro. He didn't really tear up the G League when he was down there. He's got a lot of things that he needs to learn in terms of how to fit on a roster. We're talking about like the 14th, 15th guy on a roster, on an Eastern Conference semifinals roster. Having him get consistent minutes at this stage of his career, at this stage of his development, is just not in the cards.
Chris, Jason has said a couple of times in the last couple of weeks that the Cavs made a mistake, obviously a number of years ago, by hiring David Blatt before LeBron came back, and David Blatt wasn't a fit once LeBron was here. And so he thinks the Cavs are going to wait till Donovan Mitchell makes his decision to hire a coach, especially when it seems like, I guess the Lakers haven't officially hired their coach yet, but that's it. Do you agree with him? Do you think they're going to wait until Donovan makes his decision in early July?
I don't know if it's going to be that long, guys, to be honest with you, but I do think that this organization is not in any rush to find a new head coach. At least that's the sense that I get, is that they're not going to rush this process. As you mentioned, Bull, there's only one other team that's looking for a coach. It's the Lakers, and it doesn't mean that they're still couldn't be some other kind of surprise move that happens. It's the NBA. Anything is possible, but it's not a lot of competition out there for the same guys, and there are some guys that would probably be more attracted to Los Angeles than Cleveland, if we're being perfectly honest with you,
Sure.
Including that situation in Los Angeles as opposed to Cleveland. So I would expect that the Cavs interview close to double-digit guys throughout this process. I think it's going to be an extensive process, but just because they're going to interview a bunch of people, at least that's the sense I get, it doesn't mean that all of those guys are realistic candidates to actually get the job. The other thing, like when Jason mentions that, I think it's logical. I think it makes a lot of sense. The only difference is, like, there were drastic changes that were potentially made when you talk about that previous coaching search in terms of the kind of roster setup and in terms of the kind of team that guy was going to be coaching.
That's fair.
Like, one with LeBron James, one without LeBron James, that's significantly different. Even if Donovan decides that he's not going to sign the long-term extension, the Cavs aren't going into full rebuild mode here. They're still going to try and compete. They're still going to have other talented players on this roster. So I just don't know that the kind of coach that they're looking for during this search is all that different, no matter what happens when it comes to Donovan.
Chris, do you think there's a fit amongst these candidates and the names that are floating around? Who, in your mind, is the perfect fit for this roster at this time?
The guy that stands out to me is Kenny Atkinson, guys. Obviously, he was the coach of the Brooklyn Nets. He learned from Mike D'Antoni. He learned from Ty Lue. He learned from Steve Kerr. That's a really impressive resume to begin with, and he has head coaching experience. In some ways, I feel like he's opposite J.B. Bickerstaff. There's so many good things that JB did while he was here in terms of early on in the rebuild and getting the Cavs to this place where they're at. You know, what the Cavs needed from JB is what he was strong at. But his weaknesses became pretty apparent as his tenure went on here, right? Like, he wasn't the greatest tactician. He wasn't great when it came to in-game adjustments. He didn't value analytics the same kind of way as maybe some of these other new school coaches would. He was really, really adamant about playing a certain style of defense. And I just think when you're talking about Kenny Atkinson, he's known for X's and O's. He's known for running quality stuff offensively. He's known for player development, which could be really, really important if Darius Garland remains here. Evan Mobley, same thing. And he's really, really into analytics. So he's more of like an offensive-minded type guy, which is where it felt like JB came up short during his time. You know, last offseason, the Cavs basically gave JB Bickerstaff a decree, and they said, you have to make this offense more diverse, more dynamic. That's what we need from you. You have to get the most out of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. You have to find a way to make this offense something different than what we saw in the series against the New York Knicks. And there were times where the Cavs had that kind of offense, but in the playoffs, it looked a lot like it did last year against the Knicks. So I think the Cavs are going to be looking for somebody who can bring a little bit more diversity, some new ideas on the offensive end of the floor, and see if they can take this offense to a place that JB couldn't take it.
You know, Chris, I've been hearing rumors. We be hearing a lot of stuff out here. What don't you like about the Darius Garland and Brandon Ingram proposed trade rumors? What about that trade do you like, and what don't you like about it if it was to go down?
I think it's a logical trade for the Cavs. I think from their standpoint, it is an upgrade. I don't know how significant of an upgrade that is. I don't know how much Brandon Ingram really changes the equation for the Cavs. Does that all of a sudden, rejiggering the roster that kind of way and putting Brandon Ingram there as Donovan's running mate instead of Darius, does that put them on the same level as Boston? Does anybody think that? Does that put them on the same level as Philadelphia? Philadelphia goes out this offseason and makes some kind of move to bring in somebody else alongside Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I don't know that it does. So to me, that's kind of like moving the deck chairs around, and it's a better fitting duo, I think, because I don't think there are stylistic complications between Donovan and Brandon Ingram, the same ones that exist between Darius and Donovan at this particular moment. But to me, he's not a needle mover that all of a sudden makes the Cavs, one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference. He's coming off a not so great year. The ball kind of sticks when it's in his hands. He's ISO heavy. He doesn't really shoot from three-point range with a whole lot of volume. I think the Cavs could probably do better than Brandon Ingram, if we're being honest.
Okay, well, tell us who then. Who's the realistic better option, Chris?
I think they should target Paul George. I don't know what his future is going to be for the Clippers. That is a guy who could potentially be on the move this offseason in some kind of way. Either it's a trade, either it's a sign and trade, or it's in free agency. But Paul George is a needle mover in a different kind of way. He's had playoff success throughout the course of his career. I don't know what Los Angeles is going to do with him and Kawhi, but there is a lot of speculation around the NBA right now that Paul George is going to find his way east as opposed to staying in the Western Conference. Wow. The other one, and it would not happen. It absolutely would not happen because the two owners won't even say each other's name.
Yeah.
But Kevin Durant is the other obvious name if Phoenix is going to make some changes with their roster. Who knows what they're going to do? Anything could happen throughout the course of an offseason. But Kevin Durant is a name that continues to float out there. Paul George is a name. Brandon Ingram. Devin Vassell of the San Antonio Spurs is another name to watch. Keldon Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs. And Mikal Bridges, I think, would be a really, really good fit, too, if Brooklyn would be willing to move on from him. All those names, I think, have a little bit more appeal to me anyway than Brandon Ingram.
What about Jimmy Butler, Chris? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt. I mean, that's another one, but I don't know ultimately what's going to happen with him in Miami. I don't know where his head is at, and he is the kind of player that, guys, he looks for a certain kind of situation, and I'm not sure that Cleveland is that kind of situation for Jimmy.
Chris, obviously in his end-of-season press conference, Kobe Altman said, hey, we're not breaking it up. That's just him. What are you going to say? He's not going to say, oh, we're going to make trades, right? I mean, so you think behind the scenes he's not comfortable just leaving it as is?
I think he's more open to the idea of breaking up the core four than he has been in the past, because I think there's enough data pointing to some complications between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. And look, it's tough when it comes to that pairing specifically because Darius was so bad this year at various points, and there were reasons for it, but he didn't have a great year. So if Darius wasn't going to have a great year, the Darius-Donovan thing wasn't going to look very good together. But I think there's enough data that points to some stylistic complications with those two guys, and I think there's enough data that points to complications stylistically between Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. But this is all predicated on a couple of things. It's what does Donovan want? Is Donovan going to stay long-term? And what kind of packages would the Cavs get back in return? Because they didn't have the kind of season, guys, where they have to make a move just to make a move. And they didn't have the kind of season where they have to overreact or start panicking. They were one of 8 teams that made the conference semifinals. Pretty good place to be. Obviously, they have flaws. And obviously, they're not on the same level as Boston. That showed itself in that series. But you don't just have to start taking back stuff that's not going to advance you forward just because you're getting an itchy trigger finger, just because you feel like you have to make a move. I don't think they're in that kind of situation. So part of this is predicated on what's the package look like for Jared Allen, right? What's the return look like for Darius Garland? If it's something that makes sense, if it's something that can make us better, then sure, I think the Cavs absolutely would consider that, guys. But I don't think that they're just going to take scraps back for Jarrett or Darius just because.
Well, who has the highest? Who around the league? Who do you think has the highest value? Darius Garland or Jared Allen?
I think it's Jarrett. I think for a couple of reasons. I think positionally there are enough teams out there that are looking for an upgrade at that particular spot. New Orleans has been after Jared Allen for the last couple of years. They've expressed interest in him. a number of different times. Brooklyn is a team that could potentially take a look at somebody like Jared Allen. Keep an eye on the Golden State Warriors. They've got Andrew Wiggins, but that is a framework type deal, I think, that Golden State would consider involving Jared Allen in that one, because they've needed a center for the last couple of years, and I don't think they want to play Draymond at full-time five-man. So those are the kinds of teams that stand out to me. And for Jarrett, he has a team-friendly, favorable contract. He impacts winning at a high level. He is one of the best players in the NBA at his position. He's coming off a very, very good year offensively and defensively. He's gotten better offensively here in Cleveland. He added a little mid-range game. He's better when it comes to passing the ball. He's better out of the face-up. All of those different things he showed this year in different stretches. So that tells another team out there that there's still more to pull out of him. There's still more evolving that he can do. He's low maintenance. You don't have to worry about him saying the wrong thing or ruffling feathers behind the scenes or having any kind of ego or anything along those lines. So I just think his style, his contract, his age, the position that he plays, he can switch out on the perimeter while also defending inside. In today's NBA, he's the kind of guy that I think would have more value than somebody like Darius. Darius is coming off a terrible year, and he's got a bloated contract. Those are two things that could make other teams around the NBA shy away a little bit.
Yeah, that price tag is steep. Chris, I think the most important question comes last. I can't believe we've waited this long to get to it, but you alluded to it a little bit. But
Monty Bates?
Absolutely. No, the second domino in their off-season plans here is Donovan Mitchell. Bring out your Mitchell meter. 100 he stays, 0 he goes. Where is your dial right now?
I would say probably about 75% that he stays. And it's hard to just like put a number out there. But Donovan is somebody who has said repeatedly to anybody that's willing to listen, one, that he's happy here in Cleveland, and two, he believes in the direction of this organization. And I don't think that's entirely hollow. Spending enough time around Donovan the way that I have in the last 2 years, I don't know the where when it comes to this situation. I don't even know if Donovan knows the where at this point in time, right? Because there are a number of things that still have to play themselves out, both here in Cleveland and around the NBA. But I believe that I know the what. And I believe when it comes to Donovan, it's about chasing championships. He is somebody who wants to be looked at the same way that Jason Tatum is looked at. He wants to be looked at as the same way Anthony Edwards is being looked at right now. Donovan believes that there is a pathway to him potentially becoming the face of the NBA one day. When LeBron is gone, when Steph is gone, when KD is gone, that is a goal that Donovan has. The only way that he can become the face of the NBA or be in that conversation is with team playoff success. It eats at him, guys, that he has never been out of the second round in his career.
Oh, I'm sure
so
it does.
He is going to be looking for a basketball situation that gives him an opportunity to compete for championships. He wants to get to the conference finals. He wants to get to the NBA finals. And there aren't a ton of situations out there that say to Donovan, hey, this is a clear-cut, better basketball situation that you could realistically get to other than Cleveland. And the other thing is this, guys. If Donovan decides that he doesn't want to sign the extension, and he hypothetically lets the Cavs know that he doesn't want to sign the extension, that means that the Cavs would go down the road of trying to trade him. Once that happens, it's kind of out of Donovan's hands. He doesn't get to pick where he goes in a trade.
Yeah.
If the Cavs wanted to, and they got the best package back from San Antonio or something like that, you could send him to San Antonio. Damian Lillard said he wasn't going to play anywhere other than Miami, and he ended up in Milwaukee. Right? Donovan doesn't have a no-trade clause. So the Cavs, if they were to go down that path because they get an indication from Donovan that he isn't going to sign long-term, they can trade him anywhere they want that's going to give them the best package back in return, and that kind of takes the power out of Donovan's hands in a way. Right now, here in Cleveland, he's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of influence. If he decides that he's not going to sign long-term, he loses some of that. So I don't think there's a clear-cut better basketball situation out there for Donovan. I think there's enough upside to this situation here in Cleveland. Donovan is a smart basketball mind. He understands that, one, the Cavs had success the last 2 years. Two, he had success individually the last 2 years. And three, there is a possibility, if the Cavs want to go the direction, they have trade assets that could make this roster a little bit better and look a little bit more appealing to Donovan. I mean, is he going to be happy going to Brooklyn? Like, no, they're just, no. I don't know. There are more signs to me pointing to staying in Cleveland as the best thing for Donovan than leaving.
Well, we hope so. That's certainly good news for Cavs fans. Chris, excellent job. Thanks. We'll hopefully talk soon.
All right, man.
Chris Fedor.
You got it, guys. Anytime. You know where to find me.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Not just a talented beat writer, but I think his television presentation is on point.
He's really good.
He does a terrific job.
He's done a lot of radio, and
so
that's
he's a veteran.
We got 2 super chats, and then we're going to wrap up with Gavin Williams making his first rehab start for the Columbus Clippers last night. First super chat comes from Slim Shaney, and he's quoting something from yesterday.
The real Slim Shaney.
I only go to a male doctor for my you-know-what. McNuggets half a millisecond later. Earl, we got any super chats? That did happen. That's a great recollection from Slim Shaney. Mason Gauden, in relation to our conversation about the chain gang versus the digital spotting, says, my wife, is a Lions fan. Look at the Lions versus Cowboys last year. We had our hearts ripped out. There will still be things to complain about from the officials.
Mikey, did you get the tweet that I just sent you?
I did. I didn't get a chance to look at it.
It actually shows, because UFL is using the technology, and it shows how it works, and it's exactly what we said we wanted.
That's awesome.
It looks amazing. I don't know if we can show it, but it looks amazing.
I'll take a look if we have time at the very end. I'll try to get it in. But Gavin Williams, guys, did make his first rehab start for the Columbus Clippers last night. He pitched an inning, gave up a home run, struck out 2, walked 2, a little over an inning, went an inning and change. But Jay is our pitching expert here.
Yeah.
What'd you see? What'd you like from Gavin Williams?
Velocity was good.
Yeah.
I thought we might see a diminish in his velocity. I didn't.
Nope.
Hard to take it out of, that inning. It's tough to say what he was working on.
Right.
I think he wanted to see that he could throw in a competitive environment without pain. The real question is, how does he feel today? But everything that I saw, I know he gave up a home run. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
Everything I saw looked good. He looked like Gavin Williams. The velocity was there. So I'm encouraged by it.
2 telling things about this. One, as you said, the velocity was there, which is good because you always worry about it. Guys that pitched for 2 months, what's he going to look like?
Look at Tristan.
Exactly. Number 2, it also told me that there's no quick trip through the minors here for him because he only threw, 27 pitches? What was it, 30?
26 pitches.
I think it was,
Yeah, like he's getting probably 5 starts in the minors before they call him up. They are not rushing him. No. He is their best pitching prospect now. And, their other best pitching prospect, Daniel Espino's, had been hurt for 3 years. So they need him. And I think they need another pitcher, too, and we'll talk about that another time. But the fact that they only threw him so few pitches, he's going to really slow build through the minors.
My fear is, how long are Ben Lively and some of these other arms going to continue to trick guys? At some point, the bottom of this pitching staff has to fall out.
Ben Lively's been a fantastic story this season.
Much better than I expected it to be. But can we expect that to continue?
No, not for a whole season,
This is their acquisition. They're not getting no.
What do you think? Maybe 4th of July, All-Star break?
It's Gavin Williams.
I would think, yes. I would think he makes, if we're lucky, you get 3 starts from him before the All-Star break. At best case scenario.
And they're going to use the hell out of that. They're going to be like, well, listen, we got Gavin Williams back.
No, I'm remaining confident they're going to do something. I'd like them to get a shortstop and a pitcher. I don't know that they'll do both, but I was suggesting the other day, Jay, real quick, when you weren't here, that they try to trade for Bo Bichette, and he's got a year and a half left.
I'll take him.
They may be blowing it up there.
Yeah.
And
you're right. He probably would be available.
Right.
If the right package was there.
Yusei Kikuchi, who's a veteran left-handed pitcher, solid starter. Good starter.
What are we going to have to give up, though?
I mean, you have to give up something to get something, but I'm okay with that. Let's go. We want to be. I want to be all in. I am feeling the Guardians' fever right now. I am loving this team. I want it.
I think 2 years ago, Arias would have been an attractive piece of trade bait.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Hey.
Bo Naylor would have been an attractive piece of trade bait. I don't know.
If I have to trade Chase DeLauder and I can get a player as good as Bichette,
I would do that trade in a heartbeat. I would do that trade.
Bichette and his, you might not have to give up quite as much because this year so far he's having a down year. Man. But the guy's already been a 2-time All-Star.
Yeah, you put Bichette in this lineup. My
if you
goodness.
add Bichette and a solid, I'm not even asking for an ace. I'm saying a good, solid veteran starter.
A 3.
And then bring in Gavin Williams. Now you're cooking with gas.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated to see what this team does at the deadline.
Jay,
I'm going to be fascinated to see it because right now you're in the power rankings. They're 5th.
We're going to talk about that in the TV show in a sec.
And
by the way, if you're going to the Guardians game tonight, don't try to touch Jose Ramirez. You might combust.
He's on fire.
I mean, the guy is just he's unconscious.
He
right
is
now.
better than Barry Bonds.
Oh my God!
Jay, real quick.
Only he would say it, and you gotta love it.
And I love it.
You love it.
I can't even kill him for it.
He threw 26 pitches, pitched an inning and change.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of on the same coming back, not to say exactly the same injury, but similar elbow. What's like start 2 look like for Gavin Williams? Is it
stretch him out a little
40
bit?
pitches? And
Probably, right?
I went from 35 to 47. I would think that he'll probably go in innings, and they're looking at the count too, but I would say next time give him 2 innings.
Yeah.
Next time give him 3 innings. If everything's going according to plan and there's no pain and no setback, he's had 2 setbacks.
Yeah, sure.
So
you got to be
as
very
long as
cautious.
there's no setbacks, you stretch him out, you get him up to 5 innings, and then you call him up.
It's May 30th, 31st.
Yeah.
Give
Late
me a
June, early
realistic
July.
date. End of June, early July. Is that?
I think I think Bull's right. I think this is going to be next week. He'll get a 2 inning. I think he'll get 2 innings. The week after, he'll get 3 innings. Eventually, he's going to get a start. They try to get him maybe 4 or maybe stretch him out to 5 innings.
Yeah.
But you're not bringing him up. I agree with you. You're treating this very, very carefully.
Very cautious.
You cannot have another elbow injury in this organization that costs you a season.
Right.
You can't.
Let's face it. And I love Bybee, but Gavin Williams is their most talented pitcher.
You think over Bybee?
I think, my opinion. Bybee's very talented, but I think
I'd take Bybee, but it's close.
I think in the long term, if they're both healthy, they're both going to be excellent.
I agree with
but
that.
But I think Gavin Williams is going to be just a little
Man,
better.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Well,
right
that's
now,
not because I don't think
Bybee.
Bybee's good. I just think Gavin Williams is even better.
Well, what
It's
was
like-
he last year? Like 3-4, 3-5, something like that.
Gavin?
ERA and
What was his strikeouts per inning, Mike?
Yeah, no,
I love those numbers.
I do too. Those are great.
Yeah.
Gavin Williams last season, as we wrap up, we got 20 seconds left, made 16 starts. He had 81 strikeouts in it's not showing innings pitched.
Come on.
I don't see innings pitched in it. Wins, lost,
We'll
start.
tell
82
you.
strikeouts in 82 strikeouts in 83 innings.
Okay.
I like that. A strikeout per inning is a rookie.
See you on TV. Peace.